Hello, everyone. Good to see you. Welcome to Tuesday Live. We've changed from Saturday Live to Tuesday Live. Good to have you here. When you come on, please let me know you're here by stating your name. Also, make sure that you click the StreamYard button to allow me to see who's coming in, see what your name is, and interact on the call. So I'm so excited for today's topic. I'm Dr. Shelley Nash, the originator of Living Powerfully with Dr. Shelley here in this group. And what I do is help women to gain self-mastery and boost confidence and self-belief in order to claim the success that you deserve. Hello, everybody. Definitely comment in the post so I can see who's here. If you click on StreamYard, then I'll know who's here by your picture and your name. And so I'm so excited that you're here today. The topic is, what are you suggesting? What are you suggesting? What are you suggesting? So this implies self-suggestion. We also know the term auto-suggestion. It's about what are you impressing into your mind and repeating over and over into yourself. So auto-suggestion also implies that it's automatic. And so if what we're impressing into our mind is automatic, we ought to be able to understand this so that we can be in control of impressing what we want to impress on our mind versus what we don't want to impress on our mind. Because whatever you impress into your mind is going to become the result in your life. So I love this analogy of thinking of your mind as a garden, a fertile garden, and that anything you plant in the fertile garden of your mind is going to grow. And so it's not particular. It'll grow carrots as well as beets, as well as potatoes. So it's going to grow negative thoughts, false thoughts, limiting beliefs, untruths, as well as it will grow the truth of who you are, as well as it will grow what you want to become. So any thoughts, beliefs that you want, the more you impress them on your mind, the more it will become true for you. So today's topic is very, very complicated, yet I'm going to try to make it simple for you to understand as well. So basically, you have several parts of your mind. You have your logical part of your mind, your thinking mind, your reasoning mind, your practical calculating mind. We know that as the conscious mind. We take in information into our conscious mind every day, all day, through our senses, through our 5 senses. And then we also are connected to universal energy. And that energy comes into us every single day, at every second of every day. And so we always have a choice. Are we thinking negative? Are we thinking positive? And so think of your conscious mind as the place where you gain knowledge, where you learn, all of that. So the conscious mind. And the unique thing about the conscious mind is that you can accept or reject consciously any ideas that are being impressed upon you from that level of your mind. So this is really, really key, because you have the ability to reject ideas, reject things that you don't want to transmute into your life as a result or the truth. So the accept or reject is up to you. It's in your conscious control. And I just saw that my connection isn't super strong, so I hope this is coming through for you guys. Just watching the little bars go up and down. So the conscious level mind, you have your senses, you have your sight, your hearing, your taste, your touch, and all the senses that bring things into you from the outside world. If you think about what you hear on TV, what you see on TV, that's coming into you. And if you are sensitive to that and you don't reject some of the ideas that you're hearing, seeing, and are around you, you will impress those into the garden of your mind, which we also call your subconscious mind, where it will grow. So you have this ability between your conscious mind and your subconscious mind to what we call guard your mind. The gatekeeper, what you let into your subconscious mind, is in your control. But you have to be aware of it, and you have to be conscious and aware. And a lot of times, we're just not always on guard. But the more and more we practice this, the more and more we learn about this, the more we can control what comes into our mind. You think about it, you can turn the TV off. You can not watch news. You can, really make sure that what you're taking in, what you're accepting into the garden of your mind is what you want to have happen in your life, more of. So that's the key aspect to the conscious mind. We gain knowledge in our conscious mind. We calculate figures in our conscious mind. It's really, and also we have what's called the faculties of the mind, 6 different faculties of the mind, where we learn how to use our conscious mind to the best of our ability. So the garden of the mind, the subconscious mind, really, when you were a child, when you were 0 to 6 years old, you did not have your logical mind. You only had your subconscious mind. You only had the garden of your mind. And you were like a sponge, and you took everything in as true, as real, as happening right now. So you started to believe the things your parents believed. You started to feel the feelings that your parents felt. Your image of yourself started to form at that time, and it probably is like your image that your parents had of themselves. So your environment and your genetics around you when you're growing up becomes part of you, because you don't have the ability to reject ideas at that early age. You only accept. You learn and you accept. You learn, accept, and grow. It's a natural part of what happens. We all have been exposed to that, whether we like it or not. We believe things that our parents believed. We act like our parents, and because that was impressed on us. So by the time you're 6, you start having some more conscious ability to reject things. But because you've already been programmed in a certain way, it's not likely that you'll reject too much. And so by the time you're 18 years old, 96 to 98% of everything that you believe, all of your habits, your image of yourself are formed. And it's neurologically wired in you to act and walk and talk and believe in a certain way. And so you go about the rest of your life acting, believing, having habits that were impressed upon you in your early life. And unless you take conscious control of this whole set of behaviors, you will run off that for the rest of your life. So feel free to post a question in the chat. If you have a question, we can make this interactive. It doesn't have to just be me talking about this stuff. So we're learning more about this really complicated system of our mind and body and how it works to get us the results that we want. So we're really talking about, what are you suggesting to yourself? What are you letting in to your subconscious mind? And the thing that you may have gathered about the subconscious mind is that it has no ability to reject. So once it's in your subconscious mind, it's going to transmute into form, into reality in some way into your life. So that's why we have to guard our subconscious mind from holding things that we don't want to have happen in our life. So you have current situations, current suggestions that are coming into you from the outside world. And then you also have, the suggestions that were implanted from an early age. And all of these suggestions, we call this area of the subconscious mind It's having a paradigm. It's a paradigm which is a multitude of habits, beliefs, self-image within inside of you. It's neurologically wired in you to act a certain way. So in order to change the paradigm, there's two ways to do that. One is a highly emotional event. Something happens really quickly. An intense thing happens in your life. There's a death in the family. There's divorce. There's separation. There's 9/11. There's COVID. Intense things happen. And sometimes when this happens, they're mostly negative. And you might decide to change something about yourself or your life during those intense times. I always think about someone that has had a family member die of a heart attack or die of diabetes, and they may decide, I'm changing my diet, I'm changing my exercise program, I'm changing my life because I'm not going to be like that person. So that's a decision that you make quickly. It's a way to change your habits, beliefs, and behaviors that happens suddenly, but it's usually negative. And we don't want to have to rely on those things in order to change ourselves, in order to change our set of paradigms that we have in our mind that are running us. So the only other way to change a paradigm or the multitude of paradigms within you is through the way that we talk to ourselves, the repetition of thoughts, the repetition of ideas, the repetition of the new self you want to become over and over and over and over. Think about it. How old are you? Your entire life, you've been running off the program that was set in you by the time you were 18 years old. It's like your computer system is probably out of date. You need to refresh, update your computer programming within you in order to get what you're going for, the new goals, the new dreams, whatever it is that you want. So get on a roll here talking about this stuff. So you have inside of you the set program, the set paradigm, and then you have what's coming at you from the outside world, what's coming into your through your senses, what's coming at you. So you not only have to guard your mind from the new things that are coming in, you have to start changing the paradigm. The only way that you can positively change it, which is by repeating to yourself new thoughts, new affirmations, new ideas over and over and over. Okay, so I was talking about your age. How long have you been programmed? And think about the intensity in which you were programmed just to know your name. They called you your name over and over again until you identified with that as being your name. So in order to change your paradigm, you have to be just as consistent, just as repetitious, just as ruthless about changing the thoughts, the feelings, the beliefs about yourself in order to move forward. And this is the horrible part of it. Unless you change your paradigm, nothing is going to change. Nothing is going to change. You will have slow changes, if at all. You will go back and forth. You're going to backslide. You're never going to get out of this never-ending cycle of insanity, trying to do the same thing over and over again, getting the same results. You've probably been there. I know I've been there. And it's really, really frustrating. And what we have to do, we can think about the garden actually again, but we have to go to the root. We have to go to the source. We have to go to what is the problem? What is it that's holding you back? What is it that's keeping you stuck? And it is the programming, the previous program that you've had, and needing to change that in order to get to the next place. So I see your question there. How do I run an update on my mind's operating system or change a paradigm? Well, hopefully I'll touch on that a little bit coming up. And we might have to do another live about that. It's basically what I help my clients with, my favorite part of helping my clients, which is really getting to this root cause, really getting to the source of what is running in you and how to change it. So things like affirmations, things like that, you want to make sure that the new ideas, if you're just saying affirmations in your head over and over again, if you just have like a vision board and you just you just like casually look at it every once in a while, if you have words posted on your mirror, something like that, that's not going to be as effective. So what changes your paradigm also is that it's the seat of your emotion. It's where you have feelings. It's where your heart's desire is. So in order to change something, you have to get emotionally involved with it. So think about your affirmations. If you're just saying your affirmations or listening to your affirmations and you're not emotionally involved with the idea, you're not seeing a picture of yourself in that affirmation, in that scene, then it's not going to work to change you at that level of your core. So all of those things are good, but they're not getting to the source, to the root cause. So nothing is changed unless it's changed at the level of your subconscious mind. So let's talk about self-image and how we feel about ourselves a little bit, because I think everyone has this. I think women have it at a different level than men. We all have our ways that we see ourselves or think about ourselves. But what do you say to yourself about you? What are you saying to yourself about you? And what are you suggesting to yourself about you? So I always like to, the more and more aware you get, you can actually start hearing the inner conversation that's going on in your head. As soon as, say, for example, you do something scary, or you're about to do something scary, and you can hear this inner voice going, saying, trying to talk you out of it. Like, don't do that. What do you think? What are you thinking? That's too scary. We don't want to do that. Stay safe. So you can start to hear this inner conversation going on in your head. And that inner conversation is controlling you, really. So I always like to have you ask yourself questions. When you hear some of that inner dialogue going on, is it really true? Is that really true? Is it true about myself? Is it true about my world? Or was it true for someone that raised me? Was it true for my parents, my grandparents? Was it something they believed? So also, if you hear like an inner conversation and it's not a positive conversation, it's a negative thing about yourself, you can ask yourself, well, what is that based on? What is that belief or that thought about myself based on? And is that true? Where did that come from? And the most important one is to ask yourself, does this thought or idea support what I want? Does it support what I'm going for? So we all have these thoughts about ourselves, but ask yourself, is it really support where I'm going, my goals, or is it against me? Is it for me or against me? Because if it's against me, then don't get attached to those ideas. One of my coaches yesterday said, and I'll probably use this a lot. He's like, if the train is going by you and one of the cars on the train is labeled fear, or one of the cars on the train is labeled low self-esteem, he's like, just don't get on. Just don't go there. And that is a muscle that you build for yourself, to be able to avoid the traps, avoid the pitfalls, to first recognize them, and then just to make a decision. I'm not going to be in fear right now. Even though I'm afraid to do whatever I'm about to do, I'm not going to let fear run me. I'm in charge. So that takes practice. That takes some skill to learn how to do that more and more effectively as you're moving through your personal growth and development. So another thing I wanted to talk about this is that we when we try to do something that we're afraid of, Oftentimes we're scared about what other people will think about us, and maybe being rejected by our friends and family because we're saying something that is true for us, but maybe it's out of the box or something like that. Or if you're on social media for your business, if you're doing something where you're watching other people that maybe are further along in their development than you, maybe are further along in their business than you, but they're in a like business, you start comparing yourself with other people. So that is worrying about what other people think of you, which comes from, the outside world, that you're in, that you're participating in. What do other people think? What are they saying? What will they say? What will they think of me? Comparing yourself to their success. And then the negative self-talk that comes up with that is putting your own self down. And then you have your inner world of your inner paradigm. So you have the outer world, and it butts up against your inner beliefs, your false truths, your limiting beliefs inside of yourself. So say you had something like comparing yourself to others, and then you had a thought of, I'm not good enough, or who do I think I am doing this? They're so much better. So those kind of get attached to these inner beliefs that have been living in your subconscious mind for a really long time, from since you were a child, probably 0 to 6 years old. And so I like to think of it as when the outer world happens, and a belief about I'm not good enough, I'm not worthy, who do I think I am comes up. That's a thought you're having right now, but it's also attached to a thought that you've probably had from a very early age, and it was never released. It was just perpetuated in motion. And so it's almost like corroboration. This outside world thing happens, and then the inside world already has that belief. So it's like, see, it's true. This happened in the outside world, and that's my belief that I'm not good enough, I'm not worthy. Who do I think I am to do that? Imposter syndrome. And so I have corroboration. So then it must be true, and I have evidence that it's true because that's my belief that I'm holding in my subconscious mind, and that's what's happening in my outside world. So it must be true. There's evidence, but it's negative evidence. It's evidence that, to me, it's evidence that the most important thing is to start changing that inner paradigm, the inner habits, the inner thoughts, the inner beliefs about yourself, the inner image of yourself, to start changing that from the root, from the cause. And then when the outside world happens, for one thing, you've got your facility of guarding your mind, of rejecting. So you're building yourself up from the inside. You have the ability to reject from the outside. So you get stronger and stronger and stronger from your inside. So the outside world doesn't affect you as much anymore. Is it still happening? Yes. But you're not letting it in. You're not being affected by it. So this is the process that I help my clients with. We do a lot of work on self-image. So we do this work on self-image because you cannot get any farther in your life than your current level of your image of yourself. It holds you back. It sets the boundary of all you can accomplish. And so you have to change your self-image to a level you want to go to, the goal you want to be at, in order to get there. And so that's what I love helping people do. You have to start acting like the person in your goal, talking like the person in your goal, walking like the person in your goal, thinking like the person in your goal before you have it. So let me do a recap. I wanted to keep this a little shorter today. The full for the full recap, listen to the message again. But we take on energy from the world around us, and we can turn it positive, or we can turn it negative. Our conscious mind has the ability to accept or reject ideas. When we reject ideas from the conscious level of mind, it won't get into the garden of our subconscious mind. In the garden of our subconscious mind, anything's going to grow, positive or negative. So if you don't want something, don't let it in. Don't get emotionally involved with what you don't want. This was one of the biggest lessons I had when I was I met up with a coach. I just met him in a hallway somewhere at a seminar I was at, and he's like, "How are you doing?" And I was like, "Oh, I'm really emotional." And he walked off. He's like, "Okay." And he walked off, and I was like, because I'd already started learning that whatever you emotionalize, you create. Whatever you get emotionally involved with, you create. So if you're emotional, if you're fearful, if you're frustrated, if you're angry, if you're sad, if you're depressed, you're in that vibration of that emotion, and that vibration is going out into the world, and you're creating the same thing over and over and over again. So whatever you get emotional about, you're creating in your life. So, and we're talking about the suggestions that you give to yourself. So this happens, you change things little bit by little bit. So you decide, what do I want? Where am I going? How do I want to feel? Say you start with a couple affirmations about what you want in your life. And then you sit with those couple affirmations and you get emotionally involved with them. You see yourself there. You feel yourself there. I call it being sensory rich. You get into all the sensations. You use all of your senses. You can taste the salt air of the ocean on your vacation. You can feel the sand in your toes. You can hear the sound of the waves. You can see and feel the beautiful sun. You're there at the beach of where you're going. You're experiencing it in your mind. And that's how, over and over and over, doing that on a daily, multiple times a day basis, you can put yourself into your future at the level of your goal. And if you've ever heard this phrase, be, do, and have, like, what would you be, do, and have if money, time were no object? Well, in that phrase, I didn't really understand this for the longest time, but this is what's important. You have to be the person of your goal. How can you be the person of your goal? Start acting, walking, and talking like the person in your goal. How can you do like the person in your goal? How can you take actions? How can you do goal achieving activities like the person of your goal? And when you start being and doing and acting as if, that's a term I learned a long time ago. Still, it means much more now. Acting as if you're already at your goal, then and only then does your goal come to you. So what you impress, you create. What you say to yourself, you create. What you get emotionally involved with, you create. It happens in your life because of this vibration that you're in, because of the feelings you're having. So that's a lot for today. Feel free to put more questions in the chat after you watch this in the replay or watching it again for a second time. Really love to sit down and have a chat with you about your goals, where you want to go, and how you can get there. How you can get there sooner versus later. Because once you learn some of these tools, it doesn't have to take that long. You just need direction, and the right kind of direction, and an understanding of the principles of how getting the success you desire is actually a science. It's certain principles that you follow. And once you learn and understand those principles, you can have quantum leaps, if you've heard of those before. I don't know why my alarm just went off. You can have quantum leaps. You can take leaps in your business. You can go farther, faster, and with ease. So send me a DM. Happy to get on a call with you. And we'll be talking to you next Tuesday. Topic unknown right now. I actually thought of it earlier today and I didn't write it down. So hopefully it'll come back to me or a new topic will come to my mind. So see you next Tuesday on the live. See you within the group. And I'm so happy to have shared with you today. I hope you got a lot of value out of today's topic. Also, feel free to DM me topics that you would like me to talk about. I usually just pull them out of the universe and what I think would be valuable for you, but I always want to hear from you and what you think would be valuable. So thanks so much for being on, and I'll be seeing you very soon.